Good evening, hello everybody, or good morning, depending on where you are in the big old world. Welcome to this week's Tea with the Druid, and that's with me. I am Steve Hounsome, and I'm the mentor coordinator with OBOD. That's my role, which I've enjoyed for the last couple of years, having mentored for many years before that. And so tonight we were going to have a little look at the energy body. We'll spend a little time talking about that, and I will take you through a little exercise to have your energy body nice and glowing and healthy. So that's what we're doing tonight, and I'm just seeing some people joining us, so welcome one and all. I can see Larry there in Oregon, and Lynn in Blackpool. Hi, Terry in California. We've got Andre in the Netherlands, Jan in Prague, lots of people from all over, which is wonderful. Susan in Colorado. It's brilliant how you all pop up like this. It's quite amazing, but it's great. And firstly, before I do get going, I just want to say thanks to Julie, if she's watching, for making way for me. You nearly had two of us, two druids for the price of one. And but she graciously allowed me to be here. But Julia will be with you another time, I am sure. So as you're gathering with your respective cups of whatever, I'm relegated to water, but I'll put that right later on. And making yourselves comfortable, we'll get into talking just a little bit about the energy body, because it's something that is really vital and important to our well-being, to our health and happiness. I see we've got some more people from all over. Kroll, I think, is that from Portugal? Somebody called Debbie in Brighton. I do know who that is. That's my sister. Hi, Deb. Lots of other people from all over, so welcome all. Anyway, so our energy bodies. So when we think of ourselves, of who we are and what we are, we think of this stuff, our physical body. We think of our identity as this physical being, and that's what we are. You know, when we think of our identity, we might think of ourselves in terms of our feelings, perhaps our thoughts or our consciousness, what's going on in our head. But in actuality, we're a hell of a lot more than that. And as little green Yoda said, luminous beings are we. Now I'm going to get stick for saying that from any of my students that see this. I'm well known and well derided for my Star Wars and Star Trek quotes, but they're so good. And this idea of us being luminous beings, much more than what we think of ourselves just as this physical stuff. And when Yoda was training Luke and all of that, he was pointing this out to him. So the idea of ourselves as more than just physical is something pivotal to many, many spiritual approaches across the globe, really. And in the approach that I've learned and I've worked with, Druid being a big part of that, of course, the health of the energy body is something that has a massive impact really on everything we do, because the energy body is causal to who and what we are. In other words, the energy comes before the physical. Effectively, it precedes our thoughts, our feelings, and all our physical workings. So if we just spend a moment maybe just to define the energy body, what that actually is, because there are three main aspects to it. In the way that I work, you may know differently, and that's all good. But the three main bits for me, we can think of the aura, or the energy field around us. The auric body goes under lots of different names, but we have an aura around us. When people say, you know, oh, they've got such a brilliant aura, he's got that aura of whatever around him. But this is usually invisible to the naked eye. There are techniques where we can train ourselves to see it, if you're you know, good with that stuff and clairvoyance and so on. But we can think of this aura. Usually, in an averagely healthy person, it can go out to 2 to 3 feet around us. I often say it's as wide as your wingspan. If you stretch your arms out like this, then the aura can stretch out there, but it can be developed and so on. And that is often seen as having sort of 7 different layers or bodies to it, which each relate to different energetic levels, states of reality, and different parts of our consciousness constituting what we are as a human being. So we have that aura. There's an awful lot more to all of this. This is incredibly basic and quick. So we've got the 7 auric layers, auric fields. And connecting the auric field to our physical selves are the chakras, which I'm sure hundreds of you are aware of. Chakra really is a Sanskrit word that means wheel. So they're little vortexes of energy continually circulating. And the chakras play a vital role in our well-being and in ourselves, because what they're doing is the aura is receiving energy from our environment and everywhere we go and people and everything else. And the chakras are bringing those energies through at different levels. And there are 7 main chakras. Again, different people have different ones and all the rest of it. I generally work with the 7 main ones located at different points up the spine. We have the base chakra, or the root chakra. There are Sanskrit names. I'm not going to try and pronounce them, so we'll work with the English. So the base, or the root chakra, there at the base of the spine, going down, they're sort of funnel shaped really, and the base chakra goes down towards the earth, and obviously helps connect us to the earth, which is a very vital thing. And then the others, very, very quickly running through, we've got the base chakra there. So the next one up is the sacral, which is the seat of a lot of our emotions, the sexual creative center, the solar plexus, receiving energy directly from the sun, why it's called a solar plexus, gives our gut feelings and so on. We have the heart chakra, obviously again relating directly to the heart. Then the throat chakra, which is kind of there, really just at the bottom of the neck. And that's where we can voice our truth from, a lot to do with communication in its different ways. And then the brow chakra, sometimes called the third eye, although strictly speaking that's something a wee bit different, but again we won't go there. But the brow, or the third eye chakra, opening up our inner sight on clairvoyance and so on. And then the crown chakra just sitting on the top of the head again, and that's a vertical shape one opening out into the aura. So the chakras are this sort of reception point, or a linking point between the aura and the physical self. And each of those chakras relate through our glandular system. And so they, in that way, it's one of the ways that they have this direct link into our physical self. Beyond that, the third part, we also have the Meridian System, which are these little vessels or channels of energy running right the way through the body in different points. And if you are either a practitioner of, or have had things like acupuncture or acupressure treatments, they will work on those meridian lines, channeling or funneling whatever the energy through, clearing blockages and so on and so on. One of the important points to realize is, as I mentioned it before, the energy system is causal to our physical reality. So everything that exists really exists first at an energetic state. The energy comes before the physical. So we have to have an energy system before we can have a body, if you like. That's all formed arguably in the womb or whenever. And so when we keep our energy body healthy and in the best condition, we're automatically doing that for our physical selves, as well as our emotional well-being, our mental well-being, and all sorts. So there's, lots of people do all sorts to keep their physical body healthy. I do yoga every morning and a meditation as well, and various physical things, the gym, and I play tennis and all this sort of stuff. Hopefully keeping my physical body working, basically, it's the main idea. But how many of us do things to keep the energy body healthy? Because if we do that, it doesn't mean that we can neglect our physical health. Of course, we've got to do the one to back up the other. But we can achieve so much more by working with the energy body and using it as a preventative from physical difficulties, so on. There are lots of different ways of doing that as well. Lots of different standard practices that people have that do help keep our energy body ticking over nicely. Tai Chi or Qigong is one of the main ones, which is brilliant. As I mentioned earlier, I have a yoga routine that I do every single morning. And that in itself works directly, some of the postures do only work directly on the chakras. And practices like meditation, there are all sorts of different things that can be done. But also one of the most simplest, and it's got to be said, one of the most pleasurable ways, as people presumably with some interest in Druid will appreciate, one of the best ways, most effective thing is simply taking a walk outside somewhere in a natural place. Where I live in Poole in Dorset, the south of the UK, we've got miles of sandy beaches not too far from us. We're incredibly lucky. So I stroll along there, or just even standing in the garden, if nothing else, I walk in the local park, I walk through the local woods or wherever. That interaction and connection with our environment, with the living beings in nature, of course, because they have their own energy body, helps us absorb a much better, more healthful energy. So there's that, but also it can be good to have this regular maintenance practice. And one of the most effective and also most simple ways is a sort of meditative practice of whatever sort. And that's what I want to share with you in a second. One of the key things with that, really, and accessing the energy body and becoming attuned to it, if you like, sensitive to it, can simply be with a bit of breath work. Being aware of where our breath comes from. Obviously, it comes from inside our body, but what I mean is, whereabouts are we breathing from? When we're stressed, we tend to breathe much more from up here. And so we're not taking in as much oxygen, we can't think clearly. Whereas if we slow our breath down and deepen the breath, so it's as if the breath comes from the abdomen. And that's what we'll practice with this little technique I'll share with you for just a few minutes. As a simple way that you might like to integrate into a daily spiritual practice, or just for a few minutes, wait for the kettle to boil, whatever, it does you a power of good. So let's go into this little practice. So if you get yourselves comfortable, as you've seen, I've sort of sat a little bit more upright without being all too tense and everything, but just sit reasonably upright wherever you are. And you can close your eyes if you wish, or you can keep watching me if you can bear that. And just become a little bit calmer and quieter. And let's just become aware of where in our bodies our breath is coming from. And just gradually and gently, let's just change it and bring it down into our abdomen. So when we do that, what happens is the stomach expands a little bit naturally on the in-breath, and we slow our breath down. We take a bit of a deeper and slower breath without straining at all, and then we just relax into the out-breath. So let's just practice that for a few breaths and get used to that. See how it feels. You can begin to feel yourself slowing down. The pulse slows, the heart rate slows, and everything becomes a little bit calmer. So we follow that breath. On the in-breath, the stomach expands a little. On the out-breath, we relax and we let that flow. And as we continue that breath, we can begin to perhaps sense and become aware of an energy flow within the breath, the life force that we draw in automatically. As we draw in the in-breath, we draw in that energy flow to us. On the out-breath, we relax, we let that energy simply flow through us. So we follow that same breathing practice along, without straining, without forcing it, getting into that flow. And then we can bring in the idea that as we draw a breath in, that energy flow comes down above us through that crown chakra on the top of the head. And we bring the breath down on the in-breath, and when it feels natural on the out-breath, we change, and that energy flow goes down, out through the base chakra and into the earth below us. And we practice that same breathing pattern. On the in-breath, we can sense or just simply imagine the energy flow down through the crown chakra, flowing down through the center of the spine and down through the base chakra into the earth below you. And we continue that breath. You can practice this for as long as you like. I'm going fairly swiftly, of course, just for the sake of the purposes of this exercise, but we can continue at least 9 breaths. And again, you find your own pattern, your own rhythm, and you work and flow with that without trying. So the in-breath comes flowing down through the crown chakra. We change naturally when it feels right for us. We've all got different lung capacity. We change to the out-breath. We root ourselves through the base chakra to the earth. And we can take a pause. And we then simply reverse that process. And this time on the in-breath, we can draw that wonderful earth energy up. Drawing it up on the in-breath, just on the imagination or visualization in whatever way. And that flows up through the base chakra. And then naturally we change to the out-breath and the energy goes up above us, out through that crown chakra, flowing out through the aura, connecting us above. And we just continue that same breathing practice for a few breaths. So breathing in, the stomach expanding a little, drawing the energy up from the earth, through the base chakra, changing naturally to the out breath, breathing out, the energy flowing up, out through the crown chakra above and connecting to us. And we can continue that process for as long as feels comfortable. We can feel that lifting in our being. We can feel ourselves opening up and just relaxing the aura. We can imagine expanding as we relax, so the aura flows out. And we start to feel a whole lot better. We start to feel more connected to who and to what we are. And having done that for a good few breaths, it's good just again to finish on a downward breath so we don't get too floaty and drift away. So let's just reverse that on an in-breath, bring the energy down again through the crown. And on the out-breath, change, bring the breath back down to root ourselves, to ground ourselves, come back to the earth, just coming back to balance. So just perhaps 3 of those breaths just to bring yourself back down. You should feel yourself a lot more centered, a lot more balanced. And from there, we can let ourselves just come back, bringing our breath back to a normal, comfortable level, bringing yourself back to where you are. Take a deep breath if you feel the need. Just bring yourself back in your own time. Let your eyes open when you're ready. And that very, very simple process is generally called a sort of clearing the central column. In the structure of the energy body, we have this central column, if you like, running inside the spine, really, that connects the aura, all of the chakras situated along that spinal column, flowing down to the earth and so on. And this is a good way simply of clearing it. So it's very simple, it doesn't take long, and it's really effective. It's such a good thing to do. You know, the breath is so central to our well-being, and just becoming aware of our breath and where we're breathing from can do so much for us. So very, very simple, and something you may like to consider. Bringing it into your daily practice, just working naturally with it. You can do it sat down. It's good to keep a reasonably straight back, as I said, without being tense. If you're particularly flexible, you can get into the lotus position. That's great. You could stand and do it as well. No harm in that. And of course, doing it outside, anywhere you like, is always good. And another thing you might like to try, once you've got that off pat and you feel like it's working nicely and you get in the flow of it, because always we need to do that, you can add in a visualization to it, which is quite simply imagining either yourself as a tree, or you can visualize yourself inside a tree. Of course, if you're outside, lean against a tree, ask permission first, in case they don't want you to, but most of them are nice. And feel that energy flowing. So you can imagine as you're drawing the energy down through your branches, excuse me, it comes down, flows through your trunk and out into the roots of the earth. Adds a lot more oomph and a lot more power. So there we are. I can see some of the comments scrolling up when everybody seems to have liked it. And I can see somebody there that says they've been ill for a week and it feels really good. It does. It's great. Somebody's tummy feels cold. Yeah, it's amazing though, because when we get these energy blocks, simple breath work like that and a bit of visualization can help clear those things. So, you know, something, as I say, we use it in one of the groups here. We have different groups going on all the time when we have an energy body meditation group, and that's something we do at the start of a lot of those groups, and people love it. Yeah, I can see Tim there saying I want to try this again, but under trees. Definitely, Tim. It's a good stuff to do. So there we are. 20 minutes again has flashed by. Every time I've done one of these, I never say everything I want to. It goes so quick. But if I was to go into more detail with the chakras and the whole system, we'll be here for 20 hours. And I don't know about you, but I haven't seen the very last episode of Game of Thrones yet. So when we're finished, I'm off to see that. No spoilers, please, in the comments. If anybody's seen it, you won't be popular. So there we are. I hope you have enjoyed that. Do try it, practice it. You know, you can give us some feedback. I will pop away for a swift cup of something, and I'll come back and reply to some of your comments before I watch Game of Thrones. So thank you very much for your time and your attention, everybody. I hope you have enjoyed that. And somebody else, don't know who, will be here next week for another Tea with the Druid on Monday at 8 PM. So many blessings to you all. Thank you very much, and goodbye.